Hey guys, welcome to Current Mind. I'm Neka Mogbo, and this episode, or this podcast really, is my space to process out loud, to think through some things that come up while I'm building, creating, and figuring things out in real time. If this is your first episode, thanks so much for joining. I am the founder of Uru Collective, and it is a speaker agency, and we focus on African and Middle Eastern speakers who have expertise in industries ranging from music to podcasting to economics, culinary skills, the whole gamut. And so we're just really looking to amplify African and Middle Eastern voices. This podcast, like I said, it's the behind the scenes a bit. As a solopreneur, and I put a question mark on that because, I have help from time to time, but for majority, it's me. So it's cool. It's also crazy because you're always bouncing ideas off your head and trying to navigate it with friends. And so this is the space for me to kind of, I guess, open my brain. So this week, I haven't been feeling well, and it's made me really sit with some things. I tend to go hard for weeks, usually just doing everything I can to build, meet deadlines, and push forward, especially like with it, we're still on the heels of New Year, New Me, which is totally fine, and I think I drank that Kool-Aid as well because, yeah, I just want to do well this year. I think everybody does, but in the face of everything that I've seen as like a world, you're just trying to, I'm just trying to make sense of my life and make sense of what it is to be a professional in today's age. But yeah, I just have been going hard, pushing at deadlines, navigating some legal situations. And this week, my body actually slowed me down. As you know, a lady, the time of the month comes every month, but somehow like this one, and I guess in most recent history, this one really slowed me down because, I couldn't get up to this week. Or at least like it took much more of a push to get ready, in the mornings. I couldn't even really do my gym days. But yeah, I just paid attention to some of the thoughts I have, especially while, not being able to be as active as like I usually am, other weeks, other parts of the month. And so, yeah, so today I guess it's really just to talk about what happens when you can't push through, when your body is really saying today is not the day. When the thing you're building is important, but you can't be at full capacity all the time. So yeah, let's get into it. Okay, so the first thing I really dug into this week is like, I don't know. I just had a deeper appreciation for my capability to run at things full speed throughout the week, last minute. We also had a production last minute, or podcast production last minute for Afrobeats Intelligence, and it was really beautiful, of course, with it coming together. But you're not at full capacity. You're trying to navigate making sure production is on time, making sure that you're making the show guests as comfortable as possible, easing the nerves of like the host, your client. And so it was just, I had a different appreciation for myself, which I don't know, it feels a bit like heady, or I'm saying this not in a pompous way, but I have a deeper appreciation for myself and my ability to roll with challenges, especially it being a week whereby my body was the challenge, and trying to figure out, both work and ways to like make myself like health wise comfortable and, in as top shape as I possibly could. And then I wished like it was something, I don't know, wish or whatever, but I just wish that it didn't take this to remind me that I rarely build in space to slow down. And I mean, obviously you can't you dictate how your lessons come or how God shows you what he really wants you to work on, or what, in your life could be sort of an Achilles heel. But yeah, it's like this week hit, and when my body decided it's needed rest, or that the exhaustion was just kind of part of being on your cycle, I didn't know what to do with myself, and I felt like I was failing. Funny enough, I felt like I was failing. I was so consistent last week in terms of posting content, especially since we have our crowdfunding campaign going. And then this week I just had to reschedule meetings. I had to move deadlines, tell people I needed to push back on certain things. And even though everyone was very understanding, there was no one who gave me grief about slowing down except myself. And I felt guilty. Like I should have been able to push through. I should have planned better. By now I should have a larger, network or basically a team that could kind of carry on some things. And it almost led me down it almost led me down this like bad thought pattern of like, oh my gosh, like you're not grown enough to be able to, have someone on the team, like your crowdfunding campaign, like you're really not going to be consistent on that. Like these are thoughts that I think I have as someone who has OCD, but also someone who's a perfectionist. I just want things to be done well at all times, and I'm finding out that there's different levels of completion, right? Whereas as somebody who is a perfectionist, everything has to be 100%. Everything has to meet and exceed this standard, right? And I think this week, along with some, social activities that I am participating in, like I run a Bible study group, and the other day I was, talking to my friend about how I'm going to grow the Bible study group. It's about like 4 or 5 of us on a regular, because it's weekly on a regular night, 4 or 5 of us. And for some reason, I just was like, okay, like we've got to do this. Here's what we're going to do to grow this thing. And my friend was like, the whole point of you starting this Bible study was to be obedient, right? To really listen to what God has for me in this season. And here I am trying to like make it my own thing, right? Like it's in my mind, it's not enough that I do the task. I have to do it to the highest degree, right? And of course, like, it's, if you're in an interview, you're like, yes, I am this professional, everything has to be wonderful and perfect. Like in the grand scheme of, I guess, a capitalistic society, like that is an ideal mind to have, because it means that you are a workhorse and you care about you care about high quality standards, the rest of that. It's great. It's really served me, especially as a student. It's served me as a professional. And now as a business owner, it's not doing too hot, because it's like, it just creates these high standards across the board that make it hard, not just even when you're not feeling too great, but also across the board when you're when you're supposed to have other priorities in life. Like I love Uru, I love working with my clients, but that's not the only thing in life for me, and so not feeling well this week and realizing that I can still get things done, I can still get things done, but they won't be done in the way that I don't know, that I usually, get them done, but they're still good, right? It's not just completed, it's good. And I just found myself feeling guilty this week for doing good and not great, right? And I'm sure if you're on the other end, and you're receiving, some of the work I put out or the pitches and everything that I put out this week, you might deem that it's great, right? And it's fascinating to me that on my good week, right, that on my good week that I'm still giving myself grief, when every other week or majority of the year it's just great output, right? But that's just not how life works. And I'm saying this out loud for myself, but also for you, obviously, who's listening. But life does not allow us to perform at the same level at all times. I mean, think about an athlete, right? You're not going to run the same time every single time, Obviously, you can practice, you can train yourself to perform at a certain level, right? But even, I'm sure my greatest day on the track looks nothing like Usain Bolt, like at all. But I had a great day on the track. If I can finish in a low double digit in terms of a mile, right? I feel like that that's a good day, but for him it's like his worst day ever. But I mean, yeah, the standards of greatness and good and the rest of that, like, really depends on a person, or depends on their journey. And as a business owner, creative, wherever you may be, it's very hard not to compare, or to, like, especially when you have these weeks like me where you're not able to go as hard, or when a life responsibility or your body calls on you to essentially be easy, or to lean away from something and lean towards another thing. So and this week I just found that I had to lean into wellness, and though it's my good week, it doesn't mean that I'll never have a great week again, even though it feels like it. It feels like it. But yeah, it's just weird how we can feel like a failure, and while I know it's not true, it's even more compounded when you're in the middle of building something, especially alone, because there's this feeling that if I stop, or like if I slow down, that everything stops. And I get it, right? Because it's, I'm working solo, you're working solo, especially if you're creative, like an artist, and you're just trying to get things moving for you. I get it. But if you, or if I, or if we, because I'm in the boat with you, don't slow down, it gets worse from there. I'm not even gonna sugarcoat it. Like, it gets worse from there. So I don't know. For me this week, I try to focus on thinking about what it looks like to adjust in real time, like not trying to push hard and, like, even though I'm feeling like shit, like push hard and then just hope that I will get a break eventually. Like, the break, coming back from the break or whatever it may be, is going to feel worse, right? Because your body is calling for the rest now, right? And so I can't schedule the rest or the not feeling well when it's convenient, which is a hard lesson, and something that I'm still trying to understand for myself. But here's the thing. I don't have a perfect answer. As you know, hopefully, I don't know, on episode 3, right, that I'm literally figuring things out right now. But what I do know is that pushing through isn't always the best solution. And I know that the way I work needs to make space for the way I feel. Maybe a goal of mine isn't balanced and I just need to be a bit more flexible and recenter, how I'm going to reach that goal given the current circumstances, i.e., my health, like my, I guess, business resources. And then as I'm, kind of re-strategizing how I'm going to reach a goal or how I'm going to kind of tackle a week when I'm not feeling my best, the guilt only slows me down. It really does. Because if I'm spending time thinking, oh God, that's not my best work, that really could be time that I could be resting or getting into something else and just kind of pushing that thought behind. Even as I'm like recording this podcast, I'm sitting here thinking this feels very disjointed. Like my mind is everywhere, but I don't know. I think, my mind is everywhere. It's not even the same quality of production that I, give to my clients or ensure that they have. But this podcast isn't meant to be a large production for myself. This is really time to share my thoughts. Like, this is a practice in getting my thoughts out loud, being honest with myself. Not that I lie to myself, but just kind of recapping where I am and hoping that there's someone out there who is also there. So if you're someone who is struggling to slow down, especially with your body kind of forcing you, you're not alone. It is very normal, especially if you are someone with cycles. But anyways, thank you so much for listening to Current Mind. If this episode resonated with you, let me know. Send me a message. All our socials are in the caption or show notes. And I'd really love to hear how you're navigating these moments, especially if you are an entrepreneur yourself or agency owner, you're building something, a founder, whatever it may be. I'd love to hear from you. And then if you haven't already, please make sure to subscribe on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube, wherever you listen, and follow Uru Collective for updates on this podcast as well as our agency. I'll catch you in the next episode. Until then, take care of yourself. Bye, guys.